everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to a brand new, very, very special episode of the Irish Wrestling Podcast. It is myself, your host, Sensational Queen Lizzie, joined by himself, Booker G, Bad Times. Oh wait, no, did you not see all my hand? There we go. Bad Times. We are joined by some very prestigious guests this evening, starting with a new addition to the Irish Wrestling Podcast for a very special episode. We have, of course, from WrestleMob, Mark O'Brien. Mark, it's lovely to have you on with us. How's it going?
Brilliant. Thank you very, very much for having me on. This definitely is my first time here. Never been here before.
No, never seen you before.
No. So absolutely looking forward to running through these awards. First time hearing and seeing them. So yeah, looks all excited now. Big night ahead. Let's go.
Oh, Mark, you call a great bluff. And then, of course, joining us, our usual suspect, we should say. He is, of course, probably the biggest cheerleader that I can honestly think of when it comes to Irish wrestling. And rightly so, because we fucking rock at it. It is, of course, the one and only Colin Byrne. Colin, what is happening? What is the 411? What's the down low?
What's the story? Great to be here again. I'm not gonna bluff it like Mark. I'll explain in a minute. But excited. Been buzzing for these awards for a while. Hard work went into it and stuff, but a lot of great content to show. Excited to get the awards out there. I've had people pester me now the last few weeks. When are we getting the results? Like, what are they? Can you tell me? And I was like, nope, not telling you anything. So, excited for this one.
Excellent. Yeah, I think we all are, because like 2022 was an absolutely ridiculous year for Irish wrestling because the talent is just through the roof. It really, really is.
Yeah.
Now, even though this gentleman needs no introduction whatsoever, I think it's only essential that we do introduce one of the hardest working men in wrestling today. Not the hardest working referee, probably one of the hardest working people. He has probably had one of the busiest schedules this last weekend, still rocking into work, still celebrating, still pulling off in style, reffing in between the ropes, and managed to pop on and say hello to us with a brand new do. It is the one and only Silver Foxy.
I better show you.
Foxy.
It wouldn't be out of context for people, so like there you go, Silver.
Beautiful. You could be a stand-in for Jay, you could. You could be a stand-in for Jay.
That was actually a joke before. But no, I am happy to be here. I was waiting to see how long it'd take before someone would acknowledge what the mishap. But all right, this is definitely not the first time.
These things happen. Unfortunately, we had, of course, recorded. Sorry, we had not. We thought we had recorded our previous episode and was ready to go, but unfortunately, things happen for a reason. It just didn't materialize. But you know what? That's grand, because it just heightens the suspense, because we all know that you were dying for the results of the Irish Wrestling Awards 2022. Further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Colin, because the amount of work that he has put into this is absolutely formidable. Don't get me wrong, the guys who take it on, guys and girls who take it on between the ropes, something else. You know, the work they put in is amazing. But to pull these awards together took a lot of to and fro, a lot of back and forth, and a lot of admin that nobody likes to do. But I'm sure Colin enjoyed this immensely because of his fandom. So, Colin, do not keep us in suspense anymore. Let's get the ball rolling and tell us all about it.
Well, indeed. This was fun. This was fun to put together. Although I am sick of looking at this Excel spreadsheet, I will be honest. Because it's been like looking at me now for a good, what are we? The end of January. Like, I think I started this mid-December. Maybe the start of December, so it's looking at me a good 2 months now. So it's time to get these done, close off that spreadsheet, and I can't wait to put it into the recycling bin. But just want to thank everyone for, first off, the nominees, because you helped me narrow down the field, because there was no way I was picking who was going into the categories, because I did not want I did not want that responsibility at all. So thank you for everyone who nominated someone. So we took those nominees, narrowed it down. People who mainly got multiple nominations kind of went in. I think we probably had maybe 8 to 10 in each category, and then obviously we did a fan vote. So yeah, thank you everyone else for voting as well. We did do another award that most people probably don't know about. We did a Wrestler of the Year as well. So privately, I sent messages on to the schools around Ireland, and a lot of wrestlers, asked them to share it between themselves and vote on who was their Wrestler of the Year. So we have 2 Wrestlers of the Year, 1 fan voted, 1 wrestler voted. So thank you everyone for participating on that side of things. And yeah, thankfully we now get to reveal our winners. So we'll jump straight in with our first award, Show of the Year. So Show of the Year, miraculous. It wasn't really miraculous. Well, I suppose it was. We came out of COVID, really tough. Bit of a slow burn maybe towards the end of 2021, and then really like took off into 2022. Some amazing shows across like multiple promotions. So well done to everyone who was nominated, but our top 3 is what I have to share with you today. So in third place, Show of the Year, Fight Factory Christmas Special. Very fun show. So well done to Fight Factory. Very good show. And probably a bit of recency bias there as well, because I think the votes were literally like the week after. So well done to them. Great show. In second place, our OTT 8th anniversary show from Dublin, which again, some massive names on that. And our winner, which I'm not surprised by this because this was my pick, OTT Poetry Slam, taking home the gong with 30% of the vote. So well done to OTT and Poetry Slam. I definitely think that was a banger. But we will discuss that in a moment. But before we do, we'll throw over to Joe TT himself and hear what Joe has to say.
I want to take this time to thank everybody who voted Poetry Slam for Show of the Year. Looking back and reflecting on that show, it was like the wrestling gods were looking down on us. We, after so many years, find a Dublin City venue in Smithfield. They were a little bit apprehensive about the show, but we finally convinced them to take the show, and they say we've only got July 22nd. July 22nd is the only possible date for this to happen. And then on top of that, Sky 2 Hottie sees the show has been announced, and he's in Europe, and he reaches out and says, I'd love to do the show. I love OTT. I love wrestling in Ireland. And then AEW reach out to us and say, would you be interested in having the All-Atlantic Championship defended on the show? Great memories. What a way to kick off a Dublin venue. And of course, the fans who bring the atmosphere. They are the most important aspect of it all. So thank you, and we always appreciate you. And let's continue on doing what we do.
Okay, so thanks to Joe Cabray for those amazing words, guys. Show of the Year, Poetry Slam, worthy winner.
Yep.
100%, yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely. There were some bangers in 2022. So really hard, I think, for anyone who voted to decide. I certainly found it difficult to decide which one was the best, because as you said, Scrapper itself was amazing as well, but there was the October special as well for the anniversary. It was just, there was so much that you could have gone with any of them really, and they all were a success, but for sure with that percentage of the vote, worthy winner.
Yeah, it was a great way to kick off, what 2022 is going to be,
Set a high standard, didn't
yeah,
it?
like after coming out of 2021 and not having enough shows and just setting the standard, and just letting the ball roll, and everything just led on from there.
Yeah, and I think when you kind of look at the actual card that was produced on the day as well, like the opening the show with Sky 2 Hottie and Renzo, and that kind of a throwback, getting the crowd ready, kind of crowd amp type card or match rather to start things off. And you kind of following the break, you had matches such as LJ versus Pac, which debuted on AEW Dark. And in the main event, you had Omari beating Haskins to win the world title. But then obviously the moment of the night, kind of just before the intermission for a lot of people, was Be Cool's retirement match against Sammy D, with all the run-ins from Joe, Niall nearly dying, and mystery referees and bumps and all sorts of shenanigans. But it was, yeah, like, it was from start to finish, it was an unbelievable card. It was also the night that Vince McMahon stepped down from WWE, and it was also the same night as Grapple Games and Fight Factory. So it was a very eventful evening in the night of worldwide wrestling.
Yeah, I think as Joe said there as well, there was only one day you could do, so it was a shame that we did get that crossover with Fight Factory and OTT run the same night. I don't think anyone wanted it to be that way. Certainly not the fans. Fight Factory or OTT didn't want it either, but it was the only night that was available in the complex. Joe literally got given one date, so yeah, like I felt a bit bad for Fight Factory that I couldn't make that show, because I was really looking forward to that. But Poetry Slam, like, it was definitely, for me, it was the restart of OTT in my opinion, because we were kind of transitioning out of like our COVID era, or like we were kind of back into the flow again. A couple of new champs on the night, and definitely like that was the show where I think we took off from again, and that's just built and built and built. Foxy, for a man who was there on the night, any memories from Poetry Slam?
Well, like like the presentation of it, like, had changed. Like you said, we were coming out of like a COVID like related like era of shows, and this was a fresh start. This was our chance to basically just like, right, fresh start, new year, let's go. And you couldn't have asked for a better bleeding like show to do it on, because you had surprise entrance of a Sky 2i. You also had debut of the likes of the Sem. You had Be Cool's like retirement match, and then you also had, obviously, like, with Haskins winning the title, but you had LJ Cleary against Pac, which went on to AEW Dark, which is like a big deal in itself. Like it wasn't just, oh yeah, it's a match that like it happened. No, this was filmed and put on AEW TV, like, to show the world. And what a great way to showcase OTT, by having a big crowd just absolutely losing their shit over.
Mm-hmm. And
Even
also getting Foxy on AEW, you know what I mean?
That's what he wanted us to say. He was like, "Oh, look at all these great stars." And what he was really saying was, "I was on."
As long as he got that check from Tony Khan, that's all that matters.
Like, if you look back at that card and you kind of see these different super indies that kind of pop up in America, like WrestleCon, WrestleCade, or even in the UK, you got 1PW now. You look at some people who we haven't mentioned are on that card. You got Mike Bailey, you had Aussie Open, like.
Mm-hmm.
That card start to finish, that was a super indie. It mightn't have been the most heralded of shows leading up to it. Like, there was probably only a couple of weeks where tickets were on sale at the time as well.
Yeah.
And it was outstanding. And I don't think people had huge expectations, but it just set a standard going forward that, like, OTT managed to match and exceed almost going forward. And obviously this past weekend kind of went further again. But it's yeah, like, I can't say enough good things about that show.
So it's well deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
Well done again to OTT and Poetry Slam. And we'll move on to our next award. So our next award, moment of the year. Some great contenders in here as well. As a lot of people would say, and for me as well, it's not about the matches, more so it's about the moments. It's about what you remember. It's about what you take away with the shows, what you're going to remember in 5-10 years time. And the analogy that I'm always drawn back to is, no one remembers the super kick that Shawn Michaels hit Ric Flair with to end Ric's career, but they remember Shawn saying, "I'm sorry, I love you," and that's the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not necessarily the move, but what happened in that moment. You know, so our moments of the year are very important, and they're the ones that stick with us. So without further ado, I'll give you the winners. So in third place, and pride of place here, LJ Cleary beating Matt Cardona. Which I'm gonna just throw over to Foxy at this moment, because I know that we spoke about this just to kind of fill us in. because there was a little tidbit about this that, and I think we spoke about this on our last show, on our review show, but I'll let Foxy tell the story about how this came about, and that it was Cardona's idea. So Foxy, over to you.
Yeah, so like basically on the night of the show, it's, if you were to watch back, if you're in the crowd or if you're watching on VOD, and the reaction that LJ Cleary has, that's genuine, like proper reaction, because he did not know that was going to be the way the match is going. He was fully compliant. He was like fully in a notion that Cardona's gone over. It's simple as that. But no, literally, Cardona knew, Joe knew, myself knew, and Tom Scarborough knew. We were the only ones that knew that the actual finish was going to be the line, LJ with the line timer. That was it. And wow, I got to watch that from the crowd, and it's like the reaction was unreal. So
yeah, for being there, like the place, that was a massive pop, and I don't think anyone was expecting that to be the result. So again, a massive moment, and pride of place there to come third on our list. Could have well won it as well, but hopefully everyone will rush now and watch the anniversary show and watch that match back, so they can actually see that genuine reaction. But in second place was Be Cool retiring. Pretty sad moment. But again, definitely something that will stay with everybody. And our winner with 21.7% of the vote was Paddy Morrow's retirement in the National Stadium at the anniversary show. So we'll now hand over to Paddy and hear what Paddy has to say about that memorable moment.
I'm sorry, were you expecting somebody else? Were you expecting Paddy Morrow to accept this award? Well, you're going to reward failure, is it? Here we are, Patrick, here's an award for you. You lost at the 8-year anniversary. You're retired now, good job, well done. No, not on my watch, okay? This award is mine. It's the social elites, because I caused this. I retired Paddy Morrow. So, without further ado, I, Matthew Bullet Smith, graciously, humbly accept this award for the Irish Wrestling Moment of 2022. But you know what this award means, right? It means respect on my name, okay? Because I told you I was going to retire Paddy Morrow. I then told you I was going to beat Carlito, and I beat Carlito. So now, respect is due for me, respect is due for Max, or respect is due for the social elite. So, here's to 2023, my friends. The first year without Paddy N. And here's to the social elite. Revere us.
Wow, Matthew Bullet Smith stealing the award from Paddy Morrow. I suppose he did win the match. Guys, I suppose Matthew has a point. Do we reward losers? Do we
No,
reward the winner?
Paddy Morrow paved the way for people like Matthew to step in that ring. So
I know.
put some respect on his name.
That was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I'm a social elite buff anyway, but like, I mean, I'm sorry. I love Paddy, like, but I mean, this is just fabulous.
Isn't
Just
your dad
fabulous.
from Clondalkin?
No, he's not.
Where's he from?
East Wall.
East Wall.
oh, huh.
So the real
like that.
social elite. The real social elite.
Because I think Paddy Morrow is one of the people who talks about making moments, and it's something that always sits with me is Paddy telling the wrestlers when we were out in the school that day, guys, like that's something that Paddy was saying. It's about the moments, not the moves, and we heard him saying it firsthand. So it's something that he's preached. So I think it bit poetic that maybe his retirement is the winner of this award. But yeah, well done to Paddy, and I suppose Matthew and the social elite. You won't hear me saying that too often. Social wankers. But we'll move on. Our next award, match of the year. Now, I don't even know where to start on this. Like there was too many contenders for match of the year, in my opinion. So so many potential worthy winners, but obviously that has to be a winner. And the shortlist was hard to even shortlist because there was so many multiples of matches that were nominated that I had to make the cut based on how many each nomination got. So yeah, I apologize if your favorite match wasn't on the list. But yeah, it was due to that. But yeah, our top three match of the year. So in third place, LJ Cleary versus Matt Cardona, OTT 8th anniversary in Dublin. In second place, our opener in Scrappermania, which was Swerve versus LJ versus Robbie X versus OJMO. Those names are just ridiculous.
That's a super card show. That's
unbelievable.
Unreal.
What a match.
And I think we're coming off the back of my favorite match of the weekend. This weekend was the triple threat between Robbie, LJ, and OJMO, because it was an absolute banger. And at Scrappermania we had that match inclusive of Swerve.
Yeah.
That's
who had just literally signed for AEW that same week, didn't he?
Yeah. He had literally only started with AEW. But our winner with 20% of the vote, and my favorite match of the year, if I'm being honest, was Be Cool versus Sammy D from Poetry Slam. Now I'm not going to go over to the winner because well, you'll find out now in a minute, but we can discuss the match of the year. But for me, this match of the year was correct in my opinion. It had what I love, and what I love, and again, it's depends on what you like about wrestling. For me, what I love a good story. I love a good story. I love psychology, and I love the moves in the ring that can back up that story and psychology, obviously. But for me, it's about story, it's about psychology, and it's about the moments. And I think this match had all of them in spades. So in my opinion, this takes pride of place as the winner. What about you guys? Rifle winner? Is there another match that should have been there?
No, to be honest, it does. This match ticked all the boxes. It had a long-term story that was built over years and years. They were dipping into history to do this. And I mean, you had a great story, you had good drama, really clever creative spots, and just entertainment. It does, it ticks all the boxes, but still wraps in a nice neat bow for you. And I mean, I don't know I don't know what else I could actually say to really put this over in the sense, because as I said, it just ticked all the boxes. Even if you weren't a super hardcore fan that just watches wrestling religiously, even if you weren't, even if this was your first show, you got the story straight away through either the video package or what they did in the ring. So which is very difficult to do this day and age, to actually convince a brand new fan that's never watched the product before to just come in and be fully into what's going on in the ring. So yeah, it definitely deserves it.
Yeah, like on hindsight, I would probably think that match. I know Omari won the title at the end of the show, but I think that match should have gone on last. Just based on the amount of kind of emotion and feeling it managed to kind of capture in the crowd. And I think everybody who were there that day found it quite hard to kind of get their emotional or excitement levels back up again somewhat. Just purely for the kind of the journey they made, they kind of brought you on from the start of that match with the stipulations of Be Cool potentially retiring, Foxy taking a bump, Joe then coming in, and then like Joe having no option but to ring for the bell when Be Cool can't defend himself. And then you realize, okay, he's retired here now. And then you think about what is set up off the back of that. Then the run Sammy went on, what Jay was then coming in to defend his former tag team partner's honor in a match with Sammy following that, and then that sets up then Joe versus Sammy, and then that sets up Jay turning on Joe because he's been kind of overlooked as the kid brother to Joe and whatnot, and as an afterthought, and he's looking after himself now. That leads to him joining the draw. But that match itself had so many permutations coming out of it, and it was so well thought out. Like it's like Joe obviously thought of this long-term storytelling type thing, but it was from that match itself, what it set up and what it actually did in the match itself. It made you feel like, I know Colin talked about that's the kind of storytelling you like in wrestling, but it's so rare to find a match where you get elicited genuine emotion in wrestling. I find these days, like that's just my opinion, but I thought it was magical. And as Foxy said, like if you're a new fan of OTT or that was your first show attending, you could very much capture what that was about instantly. Like who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, what are the stakes here now, and you can then see at the very end like how hard it was for Joe to ring the bell, and then you can kind of see what it's teeing up then afterwards.
Yeah, I think with the first two wars, it's kind of built into this one where it's you know from the Porter Slam, the show of the year starting off, and then you've got retirement with Paddy, like, so you've got something similar built into the show as well, like with this match as well. So you know, coming off the back of the pandemic and finally getting the show and having, like Foxy said, such long-term storytelling and finally being able to tell it. And you know, retirement matches for anybody are always going to be emotional for people if you're invested in it. So getting invested with that, when nobody really wanted him to go and nobody was expecting him. And I know there's stuff backstage, Colin, you had mentioned before about him, you know.
Yeah, he worked
people with the
boys,
title.
Yeah, you got a photo shoot with the NLW championship before the match, and to work a few people. So like typical be cool fashion there, you know. So
it was hilarious though. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it adds that shock factor, and I think it makes probably the boys. I think it invested them a bit more and gave them that shock value as well, you know, because like it's from being at a few shows and kind of like being behind the scenes a little bit and kind of knowing a couple of things in advance, it does kind of take you out of it a bit. But to some extent, now a match like this will still drag you in, but like when you know the outcome, it's not shocking, you know. So I think that the fact that Barry did that to the boys, and then he did then swerve them and then shock them with it as well, I think it brings out probably emotions in the wrestlers that they probably aren't used to feeling as well, you know. So but yeah, I think this speaks to like what we were talking about the restart, and I think Mark spoke on it perfectly. This match was a catalyst to so much that went on. So I think like, yeah, we look at the restart, we look at this match in particular, and how that kind of went on to play out, and it's still playing out right now. Like we have Sammy D is after going on from here, he now has a championship match at Scrappermania, presumably main event, you know. So like that story is still being told now as we speak, and it's very rare that we get that storytelling. So it's great when we have it. But congratulations to Barry and Sammy for that wonderful match, and to Foxy who had a massive part to play in that match as well, with the bump and how that all played out. So yeah, well done to everyone involved. We'll move on to feud of the year. So there's a few of these, some short term, some longer term. And I think it was more of our longer term feuds that actually made the top end of the list, you know, rather than our short ones. Like there was feuds like LJ versus Matt Cardona. It was a one match, you know, but some of our longer term feuds were in here. So without further ado, in third place, a feud that lasted probably about 7 or 8 months. Emerson Jane versus Debbie Coitel.
Yep.
They obviously had their 2 matches. One at Scrapper and running up to Scrapper and how that all played out, and then also at the anniversary show. In second place was our previous match of the year winner, Sammy D versus B Cool. And again, how that kind of played out. But our feud of the year, as voted for the fans, and this was pretty tight, like 17.5% of the vote. Our winner, Sammy D versus Joe Cabray. And again, that match that ran into all that and how all that played out. And again, it's still playing out right now, but we'll now pass over to our winners. No, we only have one of them. And see what they have to say.
I just heard word that I've won the match of the year, Sammy D versus Be Cool, and the feud of the year, Sammy D versus Joe Cabray. 2 best friends that I bet. One trying to defend the honor of the other, and neither of them succeeded. I told you before that the snake's on top. No surprise that Sammy D wins the match of the year, and no surprise that I won feud of the year. Don't need to start. Stay tuned to what's coming next.
So some great words there from the Snake, Sammy D, accepting both those awards. As he said, no surprises from Sammy. What about you guys? Was there surprises there for you, or is it?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, it was fab, and there's just, as you say, it's still rolling, it's still going. There's still so much happening with it, and as you said, you know, for those of us who are long-term wrestling fans, like, story is everything to us. Continuity is everything to us. It makes such a difference. We have such a great appreciation and respect for the performers in the ring and what they put their bodies through, but it has to have everything else that comes with it. There has to be something that catches us. There has to be something that builds a rapport with us. There has to be something that engages us. And this was super, super tough, but a very, very worthy winner. But I'm going to give the ladies another shout because I thought they were fabulous as well. If you're coming for my dad, I'm calling you a cunt, and that's just the way it is. So big shout out for them too. But yeah, no surprise.
Yeah, same. Like Sammy, I'm not sure with the results, but I think Sammy's, you know, last year, even I think probably going into this year, he's going to have a massive year going on the Scrapper and beyond. You know, he's everywhere, not just in OTT. Like, he's in pretty much every promotion, and I'm sure he's starting his own promotion. I'm not sure if it's going to be his own promotion or he's doing something anyway, but he's always on point. So, you know, it's no surprise that he's going to be in something match of the year, feud of the year, spot of the year, whatever it is. You know, he's going to be there somewhere.
Yeah, I think Foxy can probably speak on this the best because he's been around for so long. Something that we spoke about on our recording that didn't record, about Sam isn't new. Like, Sam's wrestling 13 years, I think, 14 years.
2010.
So 13 years, potentially this is his 14th.
Yeah.
So like, Sam's been around a long time, and kind of like, let's be fair, like, nothing against Sam, but like, he's hasn't been where he's at now. Like, he's even if we look back to the gymnastics, like, Justy was definitely the main feature there, you know. So like, Sam was definitely a supporting character more so, but he's definitely the man now, the main event, you know. And been around for so long. Like, Foxy, you've been there, you've seen it. Like, can you fill us in on like what's changed with Sammy that he's gotten to this level now?
I think so. Like, you kind of touched on it, the fact that, like, with the gymnastics, like, he wasn't the main guy. He was the supporting role for, but like, people didn't realize how good he actually was back then. Like he was insanely talented then, but now he has all these years of experience, but he's now finally like getting a chance to really like step up and show what he can do, and that's shown in his promos, his presentation, like the way he carries himself in a match, like just in general. It's this natural charisma that was just waiting to come out. We'd seen glimpses of it over the years, but now it's a fully formed, like it's him. Like this is him being able to showcase, like when you look at like certain big stars in wrestling, it's like sometimes it takes them years before they settle on something that's them, and that's what takes them off, like a character or a persona or whatever. And this is it for Sammy D. Like he's on the run of his life at the moment, run of a fucking lifetime. Like on every show, he's like main billing, he's like champions in multiple like promotions, like it just like, and like he's still really young as well. So it's like if he's fine, as they say, finding his footing now, like imagine it in a year or two. Like Jesus, like if he's not going to one of the big companies in the next year, then I don't know what the hell is wrong, because like they're obviously missing out on a big opportunity, because he is one hell of a talent.
100%. Yeah, and like he's just so good, isn't he? Like he's just like as much as I hate him, like he's just so good. And just one last thing, Foxy, what's it like to eat that super kick?
Not nice. Hurts, as it's supposed to.
How many have you gotten? You've gotten a few now off him, haven't you?
Yeah. Like he chose one of the best super kicks though, like in the country. Like always effective, always looks solid. Like it just, because chances are it probably is. And it, yeah. No, but like, yeah, like just so on point. Like, so yeah. Don't recommend getting kicked, but like well, if I'm watching it, I'm like, that's cool. Like
yeah, we might see Sammy again crop up towards the end. Obviously, we know that he's I know that he's nominated for a few awards, so we'll see how Sammy fares on the later awards. But we move on to Rookie of the Year. So obviously the criteria for this must have only made their debut in Ireland this year. And I kind of gave a couple of passes like that, like if they've worked maybe a non-mainstream show, so maybe not Fight Factory, Phoenix, OTT. If they're working like smaller shows, then like we kind of might give them a bit of a pass here. But just to let you guys know, this was an absolute landslide, and I don't think it will be any surprise, because I think most people will be able to guess the winner here. But yeah, without further ado, in third place with 11% of the vote, Desem, who in fairness to Desem, I love him. He's brilliant. After breaking onto the scene recently, and very exciting to have at show. It's very funny. He brings in that fun element, I think. So well done, Sam. In second place, Matthew Bullet Smith, who we heard from already. Again, Matthew, I think, is going from strength to strength. And although Matthew wasn't first in this category, but I think Matthew's going to make a massive impact next year. I think 2023 is his. But our winner, and I don't think this will come as any surprise to anybody, Foxy's mate, Mr. Renzo Rose, 43% of the vote. Like that's phenomenal how high that is. But we'll hand over to Renzo himself and hear what Renzo has to say about winning this award.
In this video, I'm supposed to accept an award for myself. And to be honest, for all the awards in the world that you can give to me, you gifted me the worst possible. Because that's disrespect. That's a shame on myself and on the fans and on my career. Because I was 2022 Irish Wrestling Best Rookie. 5 years of career. Italy, Europe, Canada. Doesn't mean anything to you anymore. I won championship in my career. Just because I made it to OTT doesn't make me a rookie, no? Or does it? Tajiri, Scotty Tuotti, Trent Seven, Carlito. Championship matches. I was featured the most in OTT in this year. And that's something that a rookie can do. No. Do yourself a favor, okay? Watch your history. Watch the history of Italian wrestling, the history of European wrestling, and then take your award and shove it.
What an asshole.
Guys, some harsh words from Renzo. We can take our award and shove it. Yeah, I think in fairness to Renzo, right, he's been wrestling 5 years. So I think that shows the level that Renzo was at. It definitely shows the level that he's at and why he's won this award. Shows why people have voted for him, because he just stands out in the ring.
Yes.
And I apologize, Renzo, but like the criteria was made your debut this year. So that's why you won it. Even though you've been wrestling 5 years, you made your debut in Ireland this year. So I don't mean to offend Mr. Rose, but
the context was lost in translation.
Should we issue an apology, or
hopefully I'm not apologizing to that dickhead.
And nor should you.
No, absolutely not. He
no, you're biased, Niall.
He battered our like podcast comrade. Like, there's no way. Like, he gave Foxy hell for months. Yeah. Oh, fuck that guy. But yeah, guys.
Fuck that guy.
Fucking, he could choke in his thorns.
Is there any more to be said about Renzo? Like, what a year! Like, what a year he's had. Like.
He's right on what he said. He's the caliber talent he's faced this year or in 2022 was phenomenal for someone who debuted in 2022, which is almost unheard of, that he get to face people like that. And by the looks of things, he could be facing another big name at Scrapper Mania this year, whether him and Santino is actually going to be in a match or not. But obviously there's going to be some sort of face-off or maybe some interaction.
Yeah, definitely be some sort of match involving Santino versus Renzo. Yeah, that wouldn't be surprised if it was a tag of some sort, or maybe a one-on-one. We'll see what Mr. Cabrera has up his sleeve. But
just to add on that, just I'd say Foxy deserves a huge amount of credit for the year he had, just in terms of somebody's coming into a company completely fresh, and to use a referee as a tool for a heel for a sustained period, not just for a one-off to get cheap, but to build to a match. That's not done anywhere really. Like companies, like, it might have been done in old territories. I know, like in Stampede Wrestling in Canada, they used to do that infrequently, but like Foxy is the protagonist for a year-long feud to build to a culmination where you've got two established, like not necessarily wrestlers, but characters, Martina and Foxy, against two fresh new faces, and establish them as two faces of OTT going forward. There's a huge amount of credit due to obviously Martina and Joe, but to Foxy as well, because you're working with them every show, every match, every interaction. That everything was planned out. So kudos to you.
Poor guy got battered every show.
Sorry,
he was black and blue all over from the beatings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Foxy, bittersweet. Without those beatings, you wouldn't have had the match.
Look, like taking my my bias out of the way. Like, now Renzo is a hell of a talent. Like, now I will admit that I did not know that he was wrestling for longer than he was over here. Like, I didn't know about his like being in Canada and Italy and all that. Like, I didn't know he wrestled there. I just thought that he just moved over and started training here. So, but the criteria like for the award is like made their Irish debut in 2022, and what a hell of a year he's had. Like, the big names that he's faced, and to not only like face them but also thrive and improve with each encounter that he's had. It's even I'm looking at it, like 5 years in, like I was not that smooth, like not as smooth as he was. Like, well, he is, and he's gonna get better. Like back when I was 5 years in, Jesus, like I was already making the transition to a referee. So, like, that tells you how far my wrestling capabilities kind of went. But him on his promos, his presentation, his wrestling skill, like, Jesus, like it's no wonder he got the award. Absolutely no wonder. Like, that's how good he is. Like, he is basically like some people say big fish in a small pond. To a degree, yes. Like, because he had the advantage of experience already before he came over. That's why he stood out. But no, like, I'm not taking that away from him. Like, he definitely deserved the award regardless. Like, just, I do believe the context was lost in translation. So he takes it as an insult, but it should be an honor.
Just before we move on, I think we spoke about this the last time. I'm not sure where I spoke about this with people. It might have been here when we recorded, but how simple his matches are and how simple he does things.
Yeah.
And it's only since we spoke about that I actually went back and had a look, and he does it like. And this I'm saying this is a good thing. Like, he doesn't do like big massive moves. He just everything is very simple. Stuff that people are probably learning in the first 6 months to a year of when they start wrestling, but he's doing them so well. And he's doing them in the right moments, and he also has his character behind them that like builds these up. So, like, simple like knee drops, simple slams, like very easy, like early door stuff, but it's so effective because of how he does it, and then also the bravado that he brings across in his character as well. So it was only since we spoke about that I actually start looking at it in that way, and just how simple it like, and that's it, like, easier the better. Like,
the comfort levels in himself to be able to stand in the ring and say, yeah, I don't like, I've got a 15-20 minute match here, I'll do 2 moves and I'll fill in the rest. Like, his comfort level in knowing what he can do and who he is and how he can engage a crowd, it's mental, actually. Yeah, it's incredible.
He's so comfortable standing there saying nothing as well, isn't he? Like, it's
yeah, he doesn't need an awful lot. It adds layers to him, because when he does bust out something absolutely spectacular, it's a whole new chapter for him, because everybody, you know, he'll find it so easy to refresh and reset so quickly, because it'll be what we haven't seen from him before. Because, as you said, the things that people strive for 6 months, a year, 2 years, that find it so hard to nail, he has it in spades.
Like,
everything else now will just come to him.
And what he did during that 6 months kind of probably shows him what he's like as a person, in terms of he brought up Ilya to a level where he's now established character on the presentation. He brought up Foxy to being a credible protagonist, person who can face in a match, and a person who can, if needs be, further down the line, revisit that. So it's not just himself he's brought people up around him. That's kind of a sign of not necessarily a good performer, but a good person as well.
Yeah, and I love his facials as well. Like, he sells everything perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes out, it's just like you're straight away, you know, you're going to hate him. You don't have to wonder as if, you know, heal your face.
I don't know if anyone else caught it though. Like, who's seen his sideburns? Like,
Yeah, I know.
same
my
here, but like,
God.
they're still there. It's like, I hate you just for that.
Yeah. I think that the Limerick fans at the last Hard Knock show had a good Italian Elvis chant for him.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's
I
right.
heard that. That was good.
Anyway, we move on. Import of the year. So as we know, we get a lot of I think we're very lucky to get a lot of big names that we do get over here. Cardona, Pack, Scotty Too Hotty. Like there's so many, even the English lads that come over on a regular basis. I think we are so lucky to have the talent pool coming over and being able to work with our homegrown guys and elevate them to that next level and to pass on their expertise that they've learned while traveling the world for how many years or whatever. But yeah, thank you to all the imports who have come over to the country in 2022 and please come back in 2023. But our winners, in third place, Mr. Matt Cardona himself with 15% of the vote. Great to see Matt over. And again, as we spoke about, put over the MVP of Irish wrestling. Surprisingly to everybody and the MVP himself. So yeah, massive respect from Matt Cardona there. In second place, man who's been over a couple of times in 2022, Scotty Too Hotty. I think he did 2 stints with us, and didn't just come to OTT. He also visited Phoenix in Cork. We got to see that at the 4th anniversary show. Massive pop down there as well. So great for Scotty to get around and like Scotty knows that he's loved. Like the fans adore him. Like so to be able to give fans around the country that as well. But landslide one here, 30.8% of the vote. One of our regulars, I'd say now. So maybe he needs to come out of this import pool. But man like the Reese, Mr. MLD, definitely an adoptive import at this stage. I think we'd say he's over that much. But what a year the Reese has had as well. I think it's no surprise to see him up there. I think he wrestled for 50 companies in 2022 on his Lyrical Dragon tour. And he keeps on rolling. So as of this recording, I'm just going to be full transparency here. I did reach out to Doris to send us something over. He hasn't sent it as of recording. So I'm hoping that like now I'm going to be able to slip it in if he did. But if he didn't, I apologize. So if he did, we'll throw over to him. And if he didn't, we'll move on to the next award.
Yes, OTT. I just wanted to say a massive thank you for the Import of the Year award. It's massive for me because OTT has become one of my homes for a whole of last year, and I've been there through Belfast, Dublin, Wolverhampton, even though it's not in Ireland. And I've wrestled some of the greatest wrestlers like Session Moth, and there's loads who I still want to get in the ring with, like LJ Cleary. So I can't wait for what 2023 brings, and let's get some championship around my waist. When I say 0-1, you say 2-1.
Okay. And we'll roll on into our tag team of the year. Tag team, as we know, a very nuanced side of wrestling. Takes a certain special skill set to be a tag team wrestler. Although people think that you can just throw 2 people together, it's not necessarily always the case, because we could see 2 of the best wrestlers in the world tagging together and being absolutely diabolical as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely a lot of respect for the tag teams who are able to elevate themselves, work as a team, and get over with the fans, or like draw that heat in some cases. So our tag team winners of the year. So with 15% of the vote, the Kings of the North. Our second place team with 18.3% of the vote, a relatively new team in Martin Stairs and Fabio, the Freshness. And our winners with 28.3% of the vote are the Saviors of Destiny. As you can see, I'm so excited about that one. But let's hear what the Saviors have to say.
It is your Saviors of Destiny, and we're here to celebrate winning Tag Team of the Year. And we would thank you all, but
That's not exactly what you do, is it?
No.
You don't just thank somebody when they do the job they're meant to do.
That's true.
You don't thank the postman when he brings you your letters.
Nope.
You don't thank a barman when he brings you a drink.
No.
You don't thank the pilot when he lands the plane.
Nope.
Case in point, that lifeguard that time when I drowned and I was legally dead for 3 minutes. Do you think I thanked him when he dragged me back to shore and resuscitated me? No, he's just doing his job. So don't expect us to thank you.
And you see, 2023, we're going to keep doing what we do best. We're going to be number one. We're going to be the greatest tag team. We're going to be your saviors. Can you feel it?
So, guys, Saviors of Destiny.
Yeah.
I think we all know where I stand on the Saviors by now, so I'm just not going to comment that much. So I will pass over to Liz, who had her hand up, and you can tell us all about how much you love the Saviors and how great they are.
Colin, you just need to be saved. You just need to let them in and just let it wash over you. You just need to be saved. If you were in school, you'd be pulling Anita's pigtails. I'm telling you now, you would. That's what we're going to be, pulling Anita's pigtails and teasing her, because underneath it all, you love to hate her and you hate to love her. We all know that's true.
I do love to hate the Saviors. It fills me with so much joy. It really does.
I think it works both ways. I think you've got one of those toxic wrestling relationships. I think that's what you both have.
I think we need more saviors in OTT.
Oh, essential, absolutely. I think so.
Not that I've been saved, or I plan on buying any of their merchandise just to be saved, but they had a phenomenal year. They've been around. When they got Anita Vaughn with them, it really elevated them even more. And they've put on some hell of a matches, throughout the Fight Factory, RCW Phoenix. I really hope they get more chance to show off in OTT. There's definitely some teams there they can have some great matches with. Now they're no longer tag team champions either, so I'm sure Colin was pretty happy with that. Looking forward to them this year as well, see what they do.
Yeah, I think you look almost like a process of elimination almost as well. There's no disrespect to the kind of the incredible work that this year. The Freshnets are obviously, they came second, but they're kind of a second half of the year tag team, and a lot of their work was kind of more around the kind of comedy relationship, including J Money, be it on the OTT shows, or they had kind of different singles runs on the Fight Factory and other shows as well. And then the Kings of the North were working so heavily, be it over in ICW or Discovery over in Edinburgh, or even like down in TNT in Progress. So I think by process of elimination, the most consistent tag team who was performing regularly in Ireland, doing the best work, was Saviors of Destiny. And again, as Jerry's probably touched on there, like a few of us would love to see them at some point, be it on a maybe arguably slightly larger platform, be it in OTT at some point. Because I think possibly there might be that kind of tag team might be missing, in my view anyway.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of ability, and I will give them that. Two guys who have been around the scene for a long time, and probably like have found their thing now. So yeah, we'll see where the dickheads go this year.
Colin choking on the words, literally spitting out the words.
And like I said before in the past, they have a killer entrance music.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So
and
annoying.
They buy into it so much, which
annoying.
makes me buy into it so much. That's why I've been saved.
Even though they didn't take my Cliff Richard on the Saviors, they and use that instead.
Next year's Christmas #1, I'm telling you, isn't it? Watch out.
It's way too Christmassy, isn't it? Okay, we'll move on to our next awards, our Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. And I think this was probably one of the toughest awards. And I think that the voting definitely showed that, because there's so many people who had, now, just most improved, breakout star, whatever you want to call it. Someone who was in one place in January, and we're all the way up here in December. And breakout star, most improved, whatever you want to call it, but there's so many of them that did it. That the voting actually was so diverse in this one, and there was very little separating so many people here. So before I give our top three, I just want to make some honorable mentions to a lot of them that got like 10 plus votes each. Like, it's ridiculous, like how diverse this voting was. So Anita Vaughn,
Yep.
CBL, Fabio, Matthew Bullet Smith, and Renzo Rose, all receiving a vast amount of votes in this category, but didn't make the top three. So our top three then, with 12.5% of the vote, was Mr. Martin Steers. Again, had a stellar year, definitely leveled up this year, I think, Martin, and I think we're going to see a massive year out of Martin in 2023. This one may be a bit of a surprise to some, but I don't think it'll be a surprise to people who know him. And I think that's why he's gotten so many votes as well, with 14.2%, CJ West. So yeah, I think that might come as a surprise to a few people, but yeah, I think CJ deserves most improved here. He, like his work inside and outside the ring, his promo stuff is phenomenal. And the work that he actually puts in outside the ring that you don't see. Like, if you see a video that's 5 minutes long, you can guarantee that he's after putting 2 hours into that.
Mhm.
You know, so minimum. You know, so if he's putting out content every other day, you know, he's taking up his whole week doing that. So he's definitely improving. And our winner, and this probably won't come as a surprise to people, because he has had a stellar year, with 15.8% of the vote, Jay, or Danny Cross, or whatever he wants to call himself.
The Rat.
The Rat.
You just, lads, don't hate the player, hate the game.
No, that's what he calls himself.
I doubt he calls himself the Rat. I think he calls himself the Rat because people have been calling him the Rat.
Because he's turned it on his head. It's like pulling a Monica is now a positive. Pulling a Monica is now a positive, right? So there you go.
Pulling a Monica is never a good thing. So
pulling a J,
maybe
it's going into territory that was not intentional from the beginning. So back to the Rat.
Anyway, we'll pass over to Jay to hear what he has to say about winning the Most Improved Wrestler of the Year award.
So I'm here to accept the Irish Wrestling Awards Most Improved Wrestler of 2022. But the one question I have is, why was I not the Most Improved of 2021? Why was I not Wrestler of the Year 2021? And why is it that when I come out with some of the most impressive, some of the most successful people that I've ever surrounded myself with, I'm the Rat? Why is it that I'm only the most improved now that you people see me for what I am? I am your 2-time OTTGN champion. I am a 1-time debut winning OTT tag team champion. But all of a sudden, I'm most improved. Get a fucking grip.
Brilliant.
Love this guy.
Wow.
Strong.
He's right. He's absolutely 100% bang on the money. Right.
So, Liz, you think people should get a fucking grip?
Oh, man, I could give me a pen and paper. I'll give you a fucking list of who should get a grip. Tell you, Moo. Hey, here we go. Hey, Ron.
I'm down, Chris Jericho.
Do you know what happened? I think he's bang on, absolutely. I think, do you know what? I think it's the best thing he ever did buying in. I think it was the best thing he ever did, because how many people have now sat up and took notice of Jay and not, oh, Joe, God help us, good old Jay, sure, he's always there, and he's definitely going to help, someone across the road with their shop, and isn't he great? But now everyone's like, fucking hell, what's up Jay's ass? Absolutely, that's exactly what he deserves and how it should be. So I am all for it.
Yeah, he's definitely become a different beast, I think is the nice way of putting it. Over the last few months since aligning with the draw. And I think the war wounds above his eye show that as well. But yeah, congratulations, Jay. And as you said, a lot of people have sat up and took note. One of those being LJ Cleary. So we'll see where that goes in the coming weeks.
Mhm.
But yeah, most improved breakout star. Call him what you want. He says get a fucking grip. Well done, Jay. We'll move on to our hardest working wrestler of the year. Description kind of being the workhorse on the shows, not dictated by results. The person who works the hardest, not just on the shows but off the shows as well, puts in the grind, is always there, always reliable. I think we spoke about this before, that puts the travel in that's necessary. I know Mark probably has a bit to talk about this as well, but we'll fire away with our winners. So in third place with 9% of the vote, Mr. Martin Stairs cropping up on our list again.
Ooh.
I don't think it's a surprise to see Martin there. As I said, one of the breakout stars of the year, and definitely one of the hardest workers around the island. We have joint second place with 14.2% of the vote. We have Jay and CJ West. Again, both cropping up on our list. And again, I think no surprise that both were on the most improved list as well. So I think they go hand in hand. But our winner, with 25.8% of the vote, Mr. LJ Cleary, the MVP of Irish wrestling, the hardest worker of the year. So we will pass over to LJ to hear from the man himself about winning hardest worker of the year.
Well, I guess firstly, I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone that voted. It's very endearing to hear that people felt like every show that I was on, that you guys appreciate the work I put in, because that's something I would pride myself in being. You know, I call myself the MVP of Irish wrestling, and I think this kind of coincides with that, because I've always believed that, you know, wrestling's hard. It's very hard. I spent a lot of the year traveling. I was on 70 different flights. I wrestled in 9 different countries, wrestled every single weekend at 102 matches by the end of the year. And when I say it gets hard, I mean, like, you know, there's days when I'm very sore, very tired, all that while training 4 times a week as well across Fight Factory, the School of Irish Wrestling, and Hard Knocks in Limerick as well. It can be very easy. I've seen it happen where it's very easy for wrestlers to fall into a pattern, or, you know, fall into its. You can, you know, put on a show with maybe minimal effort, or it's a mentality that some people get into, and I've always prided myself on, like, no matter what the day is, no matter how many people are in the crowd, no matter you know, as great as it is to get the big matches where you're gonna, like, pull out all the stops. You know, there's some shows where you're gonna have to be match number 2, and just because you're match number 2 and maybe it's 10 minutes as opposed to the main event that's 30 minutes, the effort should always remain the same. That's something I've always tried to do. So I guess I really appreciate that was noticed, because 2022 was definitely by far the best year of my career. It was my first year as a full-time pro wrestler as well. And I couldn't be happier with how it went, and very honored to accept the hardest working Wrestler of the Year award, especially as well because of the group of people that were also nominated for this award. Anyone that came just behind me, we are currently in the mix of, I think, growing a superpower in Irish wrestling. The talent and the work rate on this island is absolutely insane. But I will always make sure that I am at the top of that. Nobody will ever outwork LJ Cleary. Thank you very much for voting.
Sure, God help us. Like, come here. Would that would Jesus, Colin, that would melt your heart, like.
Yeah,
He was
definitely,
filming as well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can't fault anything LJ has said there. I honestly can't. He travels the world wrestling. He puts us all into it. And as he said at the end, he will always make sure that he is the hardest worker in every show. Mark, you were with me when we got that footage. And I know that you did have a bit to say about the stuff that LJ actually puts into wrestling and how much he actually does. And you've trained with him as well. Like, can you speak to just how much effort he actually puts in?
Yeah, and I think we kind of framed it when we were chatting to him on the day out in Naas, saying like this title was kind of framed as being kind of the same as the Intercontinental kind of belt, as the person who puts in the hardest shift, be it on shows. But we also kind of looked at it from what you're doing outside of that. Like, and he mentioned it there, he's training in 3 different schools and being a lead coach in 3 different schools, Fight Factory, OTT, School of Irish Wrestling, and Hard Knocks. He also doesn't drive, so he's making an effort to travel all around the country. He lives near me, and it takes me an hour and a bit to get training. So he's doing that several times a week. Plus, he's then traveling Friday, Saturday, Sunday, going to 3 different countries sometimes on a weekend for doing different shows. As you mentioned there, 102 different matches, and every match is of a high quality. It's not necessarily in the main event every week. Like, you can progress. I was at a show, he was a heel wrestler. There's a completely different dynamic, but he still put the same effort and work rate in, and the amount of focus he put into different areas of match, working as a heel as opposed to a face. I think we also touched on the effort he puts in, like for his meet and greets at shows as well. The amount of time he spends interacting with kids, like he's the most child-friendly wrestler on any of the shows, I think. I think he's a natural face, and the effort he puts into his merchandise, I think he's got the best merchandise in the country as well. Bit like the pink jumper that every second person seems to be sporting these days, or the new T-shirt he had over the weekend that he's probably nearly run out of already. Like, the guy eats, sleeps, and breathes what he does. He loves everything he does. He takes a huge amount of satisfaction from helping other people as well. Like, you'll never have a bad interaction, I don't think, anyway, if you get to work with him, be it in the gym or at schools or wherever it is. Or, like, he lives around the corner from me, and I've met him for bus stops and stuff, and he's always goes out his way to have a chat with you, even if he's rushing here, there, and anywhere in all weather. He's always wearing a pair of shorts, worryingly though. But yeah, like, as a guy is hardworking. Like, you can see he paid for himself to go over to Florida at the start of this year, where he's training in various different schools over there as well for a week or 2. So I think the sky's the limit for this guy, and I think hardest working wrestler probably doesn't cover all that he kind of put into the past calendar year and where he's gotten to himself to now.
Yeah.
And Foxy, you've actually worked with him for the last 10 years that he's been in the business. How does that portray on the wrestling side of things? Like, I'm sure you go over some aspects of matches with him and stuff before shows or whatever. Like, does that come across in his in-ring stuff as well, the effort that he actually puts into the matches?
Oh, absolutely. Because, like, if he knows that he has a certain match announced, like, say a week or 2 beforehand, or even the week of, like, he's constantly, like, working on ideas, like, of what he could, like, throw in, or trying to throw in new elements to it. But while still, like, he's still growing, like, as a performer and as a wrestler. Like, as you said, he's constantly training. He's training in different schools. He went to last year? He went to the Performance Center for a brief spell, and he basically, like a sponge, he took everything that he learned from there and just tried to apply it over here. And he's also teaching that to the current, like, batch of trainees now, which is mental. Like, because I've gotten to watch, like, him teach classes, and it's absolute wealth of knowledge for a person so young. Like, it's just crazy, because you can just approach him. Anyone has approached him at random points, just, like, thinking of something for trying to think of a good way to get into this. How do I go about it? Like, he'll think about it for a minute. It's like, okay, what's the setup? And instantly you'll have something. So he's just constantly working at it, but takes very comfortable in helping people better themselves. Like, he wants to raise Irish wrestling as well, not just himself. which is amazing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's not called the MVP of Irish wrestling for nothing. And I think that the major thing that comes across is his age. The guy is still only 23.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous when you think of that. Like, it's the sky's the limit. It really is. And I think it's only a matter of time before we don't see LJ regularly on our shows anymore. So if anyone is watching this, like, get out there, enjoy these people while you can, because like, some of these guys aren't going to be here much longer. You know, they're going to be in the Fed or over in AEW or Japan or wherever they decide to go. And hopefully we'll get to see them come back every now and again, but no guarantees on that. So enjoy it while you can. People like LJ, clearly, like, phenomenal to have that type of talent. Right, we'll move on to our outstanding wrestler of the year. Again, like, I took this from Meltzer. Meltzer does an outstanding wrestler as well as his best wrestler of the year. So the idea behind the outstanding wrestler, again, is just our best all-round wrestler. Like, wrestling, just wrestling. Best in the ring, regardless of results, because we know a lot of people would look at results and dictate things, but people who you go to the show and you see someone in the ring and you're like, they're just brilliant. You know, so that's the criteria that we kind of went in with. And some great nominees, but one person blew them all out of the water. So in third place, with 7.5% of the vote, we have B Kill. Getting the props last year, as he well deserves, because I think he did have his best year in wrestling last year. With 10% of the vote, another young buck who I think we're going to see a lot of over the next coming years as well, and one of them who we're probably not going to have for long. Fabio, the Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion, our longest reigning Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion. And this one probably comes as no surprise, with 31% of the vote, LJ Cleary again, our outstanding wrestler. So we'll pass back over to LJ to hear what he has to say about winning the outstanding wrestler of the year.
It's amazing for me to be able to accept the Irish Wrestling Outstanding Wrestler of the Year award. Thank you so much to everyone that voted. It's really cool for me to be able to see that you guys appreciate how something I've always prided myself on is my versatility as a wrestler. You know, whether I'm in the main event or in the first match on the card, to be able to adapt and deliver whatever is needed that night, and also to be able to put in maximum effort no matter what the situation, whether I'm on 1 hour sleep, 10 hours sleep, I'm injured or I'm sore or hurt. You know, when the time comes to perform, I believe that you should never put in less than 100% of your effort as a wrestler. That's something I've always tried to do. So to be able to see that you guys can see that in me is an absolute honor, and it's something that I will continue to make sure I do every single show I'm on, every time I perform, for any Irish wrestling fan or any fan around the world. And that's why I think of myself as the MVP of Irish wrestling. So thank you again for giving me this outstanding Wrestler of the Year award, and let's see how much more outstanding we can be in 2023.
So outstanding Wrestler of the Year, Liz, warranted. I don't think it's any surprise, this one.
Not even a bit. I don't think we can even add to, I don't even know what else to say, like, that hasn't already been said about LJ's work ethic. As you say, regardless of the result, he puts in the work and the effort outside the ring, but also inside the ring. He's an all-round just great wrestler. Aside from, as I said, the work he puts outside the ring with all the different promotions, with the travel, etc., and the training, he's just a damn good wrestler, and he's getting his flowers, and it's so encouraging to see it, and it's a lovely thing to witness.
100%.
Yeah. I'm going to be so proud of him whenever he actually does spread his wings and, you know, get picked up by some other, you know, one of the major promotions, because, like as Liz said, outside of his, you know, unselfishness when it comes to talent, like, he's a phenomenal wrestler. And it was shown on his match with Pac, and they were still talking about LJ Cleary on AEW weeks later, like they had, Pac
Yeah,
were
they were
having matches
dropping
and they
it,
were still dropping his name, talking about him. So he definitely left an impression with Taz and Excalibur and people like that. So I'm hoping like this year or next year, that's, is going to be one of them big breakout years where he, goes over there and shows them what he can do.
I think
Hopefully sometime soon.
The variety kind of showed even this past weekend. So he went from a mental 4-man, multi-man match on a Friday to a trios match with a bit more subtlety on the Saturday to a relatively simple match on the Sunday, where the story that was being told in ring, and you got to. I thought it was absolutely incredible on Sunday, the match between himself and Mike Loku. I know this is talking about 22 previously, but like the growth he's shown in the space of a year. I was chatting to you, Colin, during the show. Like he's absolutely incredible. You can see him show by show growing as a performer, and you can kind of you were talking about there, but the nuances he's talking about from being in the performance center last year. He's obviously grown from being away in January as well this year. Like that match on Sunday with Mike Loco, I thought was absolutely outstanding. The story that told, just the simplicity of focusing on a body part of the leg for Michael and then focusing on a neck for LJ. Like simple things like that, and they all played into the finish of the match as well. And there was so much more that they can revisit from the way they finished for a future match down the road. Like I think he's a genius in the ring, to be honest. I don't think there's anybody kind of coming close to him at this point in Ireland.
Absolutely. So we're on to our main event, guys. Our co-main events. So as I said at the start of the show, 2 Wrestler of the Year awards, 1 Wrestler of the Year and 1 fan voted. So we'll jump into our Wrestler of the Year first. Again, as voted by other wrestlers and people within coaches within the industry. Hopefully Foxy voted on this as well.
Can't vote for yourself.
Did you get a vote, Foxy?
I don't know.
He doesn't remember. I don't blame him. It was the start of December. So anyway, so these are probably going to be a bit more diverse on who's on the list, because there's so many of the guys that would see a lot of stuff behind closed doors that we don't see, and they're seeing these guys in training 3, 4, 5 times a week. So and I think these are an indication of probably who we should be watching and who we should be keeping our eye on, and who the other wrestlers rate. Because it's harder to like get the boys on side, like as they say, like so our top 3 wrestler of the year. So in joint thirds, Martin Stairs and Renzo Rose, 2 worthy names on that list, with 11.1% of the vote. In second place, tied, Fabio, our longest reigning Irish Junior Heavyweight Champion, and our current OTT champion, Amari. And in first place, our Wrestler of the Year, Mr. LJ Cleary, voted by his peers. So we'll go back over to LJ. Can never get enough of LJ, and hear what LJ has to say about winning Wrestler of the Year.
Wrestler of the Year. That's an honor, but an interesting one in that wrestlers are probably the harshest people, or the hardest people to impress. When you get used to being on so many shows, you're watching so many different matches. Wrestlers are harsh, again. I have a close set of friends, and we're able to be very open and honest with each other. Maybe this works or this doesn't. But again, I would have very strong opinions myself as well. It really takes, I think, kind of a next level talent for me to be like, oh yeah, they are a fantastic wrestler. There's a lot of good people. There's a lot of good people on the scene around Europe. So for me to get wrestler within Ireland is an honor, because I have put so much of my time into Irish wrestling. I've always tried as much as I can, even outside the ring, to be somewhat of a figure that I guess people could feel like they could come to, not just as a wrestler, but maybe as a coach or as a friend. And I think that's I think that's kind of what's translating from being in the ring. And I think as well that I mentioned that I feel like my versatility and my efforts is what has got me to where I am. So the fact that hasn't gone unnoticed in wrestlers as well is unbelievable, because I would definitely notice it within somebody else. So yeah, wrestlers rest of the year, you know, from the boys, as they say, you know, the boys are probably the harshest critics in the world. So I guess I'm doing something right. So thanks, lads, for wrestlers rest of the year.
The boys. Our wrestlers wrestler of the year, LJ.
Aw. See his little happy face. Like, no, but like being recognized by your peers is just a different level altogether. You know what I mean? You could be superb at what you do in every aspect, which we've all seen very clear evidence that LG is, but to be recognized by your peers is just, that must just warm the cockles off him.
It hits very differently. And he is right. Like, wrestlers are some of the harshest critics ever, because one of the old like things that does be said is like, we're our own worst critic, because we will just nitpick everything. So therefore, when we're asked like our actual opinions on other wrestlers, it can be downright brutal at times. But
minefield.
They're the kind of criticisms that you need to hear, though, because these are people that are in the grind with you, and they're doing the same, if not, like, some are doing more and some are doing less, but still we're all trying to grind together in order to improve ourselves and to get the vote from your peers to be like, wrestler. You are the wrestler that they want to see. They want to constantly watch. That is one hell of a compliment. So that definitely deserved, though. Absolutely.
Again, well done to LJ. Clearly, will he take home the fans voted one? We will find out. But before we do, I think we'll pass over to I don't know who's going to do our plug.
Yeah, you go for it.
Foxy, come on.
Wait, what?
Whip it out, Foxy.
What? Context is definitely needed there. Just a fucking censor bar just comes on.
Bit generous there with the old censor bar, Foxy.
I know.
He did. He went like this, didn't he?
See, I'm from wrestling, so we have to exaggerate.
There you go. That's amazing. Oh my god. Yeah, that'll be me, dear.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure?
Before we get on to the last award, tell you a bit about our sponsor.
Absolutely. So I am delighted to tell you a bit about the sponsor of today's episode. It is, of course, the one and only Manscaped. They are the world's leader in the grooming of the species. They have a phenomenal package out, excuse the pun, but they do have a phenomenal package. Not as impressive as your sensor, Foxy, but it's pretty phenomenal package out. And it is the 4.0. 8 million balls worldwide have been treated to be Manscaped. The closest and smoothest shave that you will ever get. I cannot wait until they bring out Womanscaped, because let's face it, defluff that muff. All needs to be done, lads. All needs to be done. And massive shout out as well for everything that you get in the little kit. You get your little wash bag along with all of your grooming products. You also get lots of toiletries, including the ball deodorant, which is famous definitely around these parts, because regardless of where it's meant for, put that anywhere and it smells phenomenal. And you also get a fabulous little, isn't it the little pair of
boxers?
Yeah,
boxer
pair of
briefs.
lacy specials in there as well with the Manscaped branding on them. Sure, what more would you be wanting? Now, if that isn't enticing enough for you, if you put IWE20 in at checkout, you will get 20% off. You will also get free shipping and 30-day money-back guarantee. There's already great offers on the site, so an extra 20% off is a huge saving. And IWE from us at Irish Wrestling Entertainment, IWE20 in a checkout will get you 20% off, and it will get you free shipping along with that 30-day money-back guarantee. And of course, your balls will thank you. So massive thanks to Manscaped. Delighted to have you on board.
Awesome. I was only looking at it the other day. I think they're having a 40% off sale at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
40%
nice.
off and
And-
get your extra 20% off. So like guys, go get it. Like,
Yeah.
For nothing.
yeah. Great present box as well. Like I was only saying, who can I buy this for? But then I don't know, that's a present to be given to like a work colleague or something.
No, it should be like the Grinch. Do you know who'd like that? Me.
Yes, thanks Manscaped for the sponsorship as well. It's great. So our big awards, Irish Wrestler of the Year 2022. Before I give top three, there was one other that got a fair few awards in this one. They didn't break the top three, so just an honourable mention to Miss Debbie Keitel, who came fourth and got a right load of votes, but unfortunately didn't make the top three.
It was a close shave.
Oh Jesus, here's the puns already.
There's a reason I do it.
Yes,
Isn't there?
yes, Jerry. Yes. Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm sorry.
our third place Irish Wrestler of the Year with 15% of the vote. Our current OTT champion, Omari. Well done, Omari.
Absolutely.
First and second, separated by 0.8%
What?
of the vote. In second place, our MVP of Irish Wrestling, Mr. LJ Cleary, which will come as a shock to some, because I think some on this call probably reckoned that he was going to win this. And I think, going by Foxy's expression, he is very surprised. So our winner, with 27.5% of the vote, again winning by just 0.8%, the Snake,
Way!
Mr. Sammy D, who we spoke about in spades earlier on, about how good he has now become, and potentially our next OTT champion. So
No
we will
potentially in it, Colin. There's no potentially in it. His.
open to all scenarios. So before we just have a little chat about Sammy, we will pass over to the Snake, Sammy D, and hear what he has to say about winning the 2022 Irish Wrestler of the Year.
That too, that's no surprise. I just heard that I've won Irish Wrestler of the Year. Absolutely no surprise. I just won in Belfast. I bet Big Damo and Trent Seven became number one contender for the OTT Championship. 2022 was the year of the Snake, but it just keeps rolling. Sammy D will go to Scrapmania and Sammy D will win the OTT World Championship. But Irish wrestling fans, I don't want to thank you. You should thank me. Snake on top.
That's MGF. That's
Yeah.
yeah. And again, as we touched on earlier, like it's the difference between like, oh, why didn't I win more? Just being, he's accomplished everything he set out to in 2022. He's kind of beaten all his enemies. The draw are on top. They've got nearly all the gold. He's winning all the awards. Of course, he should be delighted. He should be kind of gloating about it. And yeah, that promo is brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. He should be singing that from the freaking rooftops. What a year for that young man. Unbelievable. And it's only just going to go from strength to strength. And yeah, you're the Snake all day long.
Yeah, so the Snake isn't going to thank us. We should be thanking him. So thank you, Sammy, for a phenomenal year.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, well deserved. I think if first and second were reversed, I don't think there'd be any argument either.
True.
But the man who has had an epic year, and I believe will go further, as we've spoken about already, he is going to have a cracking 2023. Potentially going to be our next OTT champion. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, Snake on top. It doesn't lie.
I think we got a pretty interesting glimpse this past Saturday at OTT in Dublin. When they were almost in the face roll. Sammy in particular was in the face roll. Like I said to you at the time, Colin, you find in wrestling a lot of time heels are so bloody good that what they do, they become cool and become like naturally you end up wanting to cheer for them. Like even in Belfast yesterday or on Sunday, there was Northern Irish people cheering for the draw over their opponents in that match. Yeah, like you could the way Sammy wrestled on Saturday at the face as well. Everybody kind of naturally gravitates towards him because he's so comfortable in who he is and how good of a performer he is. And I think at some point, be it this year, next year, or however long we're lucky enough to have him in OTT and Irish wrestling, if that trigger's pulled where he's kind of flipped the other way, he could become even bigger as a like kind of the face of Irish wrestling.
Yeah, I don't think that would be
100%.
surprising.
I think, yeah, you're right. I think that this year, 2023, is going to be phenomenal for him. And like LJ, it's, get out and see him as much as you can now before it's too late. Because if he does go, which he probably will go pretty soon, you're going to be wishing, oh, well, I remember when he did this, or I remember when he did that. Like, because if he keeps rubbing shoulders with the names he's rubbing with, they're always, they're only going to recommend him to places and maybe even bring them with him whenever things happen, things like NXT Europe, whenever that relaunches, or AEW comes over to the UK this year at some stage, people are going to get snapped up. There's going to be a lot of trials, and people are going to go out and show off what they can do, and you just don't know when you're ever going to see them again. So we'll do it now while you can.
I saw him for the first time as well. Only recently put up something on social media about being available for bookings.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've seen Sammy do that before. So it's good to see that he is branching out as well, and will hopefully start to work around the UK scene, the European scene. I know that he's done a few dates already, but I think they were more. He got them in private, where now he's kind of putting them out on the social media, trying to advance that a bit more and get more of those dates. So if you're a promoter, or if you know promoters or whatever, like
especially if he does end up winning the OTT title this year, even a Scrapmania, like that's
it just elevates him more, doesn't it?
People are going to take more notice of him.
I think we're incredibly lucky in Ireland to have as the kind of the two pillars now of Irish wrestling going into 2023, LJ and Sam, like, and you kind of cross compare with other promotions around Europe, particularly like the bigger promotions who would have previously been on networks or whatnot. I don't think they have wrestlers who necessarily compare regularly as we do over here in OTT. I think the quality of wrestlers and performers and people we have here is, I think I was saying to you on Saturday night, Colin, I think OTT doesn't necessarily get, and the performers necessarily get the flowers they're owed or due. And the longer we have these people, the better, I suppose.
Definitely. So guys, that was our 2022 awards. Again, I just want to thank everybody who nominated, who voted, who made these awards possible, who made it possible for us to sit here and talk shit about this for the last couple of hours or whatever it's been, or if you want to say 4 hours because Terry forgot to press the record button the last time. But yeah, thank you everyone for voting, making this possible. Thank you for watching. It was great. It's great to be part of this scene and to be able to produce this content for you guys. But yeah, I'll pass over to Liz, our specialist, who's going to tell you all about the podcast, the channel, our socials, everything, all that kind of shit.
Thank you very much. Indeed, was an honor to be part of this. I think for everybody, obviously today's episode and the last episode as well. Well, hey! So with that noted, once again, a quick thank you to our sponsor Manscaped. That's IWE at checkout, 20% off plus free shipping. And of course, there's great offers on there at the moment with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Huge thank you to our guests this evening. It has been a pleasure. It has been a joy. There have been some surprises. There have been no surprises. I'll take a quote there from Sammy D. No surprise. But huge thank you to Mark from WrestleMob. Some excellent content over there. Please make sure you check it out. Delighted to have you on, Mark, and hope to have you on again soon. Did you enjoy it?
Loved it. Yeah, thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure to be interacting with yourself, Colin, and the fabulous Foxy, the Silver Fox. So yeah, listen, thank you very, very much. It was a lovely evening. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks a million. And we'll definitely be seeing you again. Colin, sure, God help us. You're like the brother from another mother now. You are really, to be fair, absolutely. The amount of work, I don't know if those of you watching and listening realize that goes into putting something like this together. A lot of work goes into it, and Colin has been grafting at it now for months. He really, really has. And to put all of this together and to do so many reach outs, collect so much information and data, whack it all together to come out with some magnificent results, takes dedication and commitment. And I think aside from his fandom, that just goes to show how much of a driving force Colin is behind Irish wrestling, in my opinion. I think he elevates it. I think he exposes it to such a wider audience, and it's things like this that really, really contribute to that. So massive thank you to Colin for all the hard work he has put in, and then to join us as well a second time to do it all over again. I'm telling you, we're feeling the love for our Colin. What?
Thanks so much, Liz. What can I say? Speechless. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Dan. Here we go now. Here we go. Now, look, we know that he won every single award. We just couldn't put Foxy's name at the top of every list because people might think it's rigged. Why? Because he sat in front of us. He even went to get his hair done for the occasion and he didn't even get his award. So I feel really, really bad. But Foxy, you're a winner in our eyes. The hardest working man in professional wrestling worldwide, not just Ireland, worldwide. Privileged just with his presence this evening to count down to the superstars of Irish wrestling of 2022, and what 2023 has in store for them, God knows, but 2023 is store for Foxy. More hard work, Foxy, more hard work. So a big thank you to our one and only Silver Fox as well for joining us. It's massively appreciated.
Thank you. I'm very happy to do this. It's a lot of fun.
Very throwing all referee, Irish referee of the year 2022 on the screen there for Foxy.
Yeah. Must be like handwritten, like
it's a squiggle.
Dara Trulop.
Like, Foxy's got a book that won't quit.
He did a fucking great job.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
Audrey Edwards got fucking nothing on you, Foxy.
Not a hope. Aubrey could learn a thing or two from our Foxy. So yeah, and of course, darling, you know, you get your thanks anyway. You get your flowers because you are here, because you are the man behind the madness that is IW.
Just be thankful I press fucking record.
Ever grateful, love, ever grateful, because it was going to be divorced, because no. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Irish Wrestling Entertainment. You can find us on all of your social media outlets. So we are on Twitter at Irish Wrestling 8, as well as Instagram, as well as Facebook. And of course, you can always pop over to TikTok and join the millions and millions of views of the most fantastic clips that we have there as well. 20% off at Manscaped, IW at the checkout, which includes free shipping and a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel already, what are you doing? Get on it. You are missing something spectacular. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you comment. Did you agree with the results? Do you have other stars that maybe you think are up and coming? Let us know. We have a massive, massive passion and interest in Irish wrestling, and we would love to know what you think. From myself, being sensational Queen Lizzie. From himself, being Booker G 5 times. Look at you in the Rumble and all last weekend. From Mark at Wrestling Mobs, from Colin as well here at IWE, and hardest working wrestler Foxy. Thanks again, and bye for now.